Of course, we want to thank all of the military family for all the things that they do. And it's really a celebration of life, celebration of all the military and what they are up against on a day-to-day basis. I mean, they're there to protect us, the police officers as well. So we thank you for your service in protecting us.
And of course, now wearing poppies earlier than we normally do this time of year. I think it's appropriate. The Canadian Legion stands behind that as well. And now we are, of course, going to be following this story for you for the next few hours live on the Weather Network to follow this procession and then subsequently the funeral that will begin around noontime. So it's a sad day, but it's a day that we, as you mentioned, Tom, we pay tribute to all of the people, first responders, people in the military for sure. I mean, there are just so many people who put themselves at in harm's way every day to keep us safe.
Well, and that's right. And our troops are now on the way over to Iran and Syria. And so our military men and women are there already. And, they put up their lives on a daily basis.
So we'll have more coverage coming up for you. Please stay with us right here on the Weather Network.
Again, and as we've been posting all week, our thoughts and prayers go out to the families and loved ones that have been affected by this. Our coverage continues live. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to send it into the studios for our weather story, which is just as big a story, Sheryl, when you consider what's happening outside today.
Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you very much for that, Chris. As we look at our national overview of what we have weather-wise, we have a departing low in Atlantic Canada. The big one in Ontario, of course, just talked about the rain. It looks like it's going to hold off until after the funeral this afternoon, more so 4 p.m. before the showers and storms come in. And then back into Western Canada. This is, the remnants of Hurricane and Tropical Storm Anna are making their way, really being an impact for BC. But in terms of Ontario, when we look at our radar, most of the heavier rainfall totals will be had in northern portions. But as you can see, the showers are moving through. With that, there is the potential of some rumbles of thunder as well. In terms of rainfall amounts, you have the highest stuff to the north, but timing, it's all about the timing here. It's likely going to be moving through more so 2, 3, 4 p.m. this afternoon. Our live coverage continues on the Weather Network. Stay with us. Thanks very much, Chris. Well, the rain is holding off, so that's some good news. We have dry conditions. It's warm in Hamilton right now. Doesn't appear to be raining until about the mid-afternoon, so thankfully those showers and possibly thunderstorms are holding off for the time being. And Chris, it's a good reminder that although there are lots of people in Hamilton in person paying their respects, but there are Canadians all over the country who are paying their respects as well, including in Calgary, obviously. Hamilton this afternoon, we are expecting some thunderstorms. Thankfully, the showers are holding off, so that's some good news, but we will expect to see some rain. Let's go back now live to the scene with Mike. In terms of what we can expect with the weather, thankfully, everything is holding off. We do have potential for some thunderstorms, but when we look at our local forecast and we look at those hourlies, thankfully, it doesn't seem to arrive, although until about the mid-afternoon. But I think in this case, people would have made their way down to pay their respects regardless of the weather. Nevertheless, some clear conditions, at least for the time being.
Sheryl, you tweeted out earlier the poppy, and that was very, very appropriate. But there's also a weather story to this.
Yes, well, let's get to it. Thankfully, let's be real. People would not go down to the armory or to pay their respects if there was weather. But suffice it to say that it's kind of nice that it's held off for as long as it has, because we are expecting weather today. And 19 this afternoon, it's warm, thankfully. We have the risk of some thunderstorms later this afternoon. The timing of this appears to be 2, 3, more like 4 p.m. is when things will pick up. Let's go look at the scene right now. As we mentioned, that we'll continue our live coverage for the next while here on the Weather Network as we pay our respects to Corporal Nathan Cirillo. That's right. And the low pressure system is making its way in. The reason it's so mild, like 19 this afternoon in Hamilton, is because we're drawing up a southwesterly flow The winds have not been strong to this point, but we're beginning to see some signs that the winds are increasing in strength. They will be southwesterlies today. It's possible that with the heat and with a little bit of humidity factored in, that we are going to be possibly dealing with some rumbles of thunder. We had some of those even last night in areas south of the 401, but there is today a widespread risk of non-severe thunderstorms across Ontario south and northeast. The northeast is set to see the highest totals of rainfall, 20 to 30 millimeters up toward Kapuskasing, some snow in far northwestern Ontario. But for this upcoming Saturday, it's going to be a lot cooler than what we've been experiencing. -1 is what it will feel like in Toronto by the time we get to Saturday.
Very, very tough images to watch, and a very emotional day indeed for all of us across this country. Sheryl.
Thank you very much, Chris. And I know many of us are feeling the same way. You know, we're emotionally touched by the scenes that we're seeing in Hamilton playing out. But let's remember, all Canadians are really banding together to send our well wishes to the family and those left behind after last week's tragedy. But let's talk weather now. And Chris was alluding to it, Mike as well. The rain has held off, and we will have the potential for some thunderstorms later this afternoon. The timing of it, and you can follow this online, you know, the hourly forecast breaks it down hour by hour. It looks to begin in the mid-afternoon in terms of the timing. So we do have rain on the way, less than 10 millimeters expected. The bigger rains are going to be had in northeast Ontario. But the progress of those showers, yeah, there is progress, but it's not moving very quickly at this point. We do have the widespread risk of some thunderstorm activity. For the time being, though, these live scenes from Hamilton as we pay our respects to Nathan Cirillo on this Tuesday afternoon. No, you're right, Chris. You and I asked a lot of pointed questions to our meteorologist this morning about the timing of this. Now, we are looking at the potential of some thunderstorms. We heard some rumbles last night. We may see some redeveloping throughout this afternoon. If we do, they're not severe storms, but some thunderstorms could locally bring heavier amounts of rainfall than what we're expecting with the synoptic low or the system low, which will bring these amounts. Less than 10 millimeters expected along the 401 corridor, and then slightly higher totals as you go north of Timmins to 20 to 30 millimeters. Also northwestern Ontario setting up for some snow, yes. Now in terms of where we go from here and the wind chill values, today is a very mild day because of the southwesterly flow. The winds will be picking up as those showers move through. In the mid-afternoon is when the action should get going in Hamilton, so thankfully it has held off. That just makes things a little bit easier for all those people going down to Hamilton to pay their respects today. But in terms of the wind chill for this Saturday, look at that. We have wind chills. That's really the story, isn't it? This afternoon across the prairies, we have cooler temperatures, far cooler than we've been experiencing as of late.
One last look before we turn over to weather. The Huffington Post, thousands paying respects, and a lot of people on hand for this. The weather story, Sheryl, was one that really played out well for us, in that the rain did hold off. Now the proceedings have moved indoors, and now the rain's starting to move in.
Yeah, so it's all about the rain at this point, Chris. Pardon me. Pardon me. Rain across northern Ontario. It's just that. It's an emotional day. And, you know, for those of us who have kids, and we see images like that, and we're reminded that not only are we affected, but even the youngest children understand the importance of a day like today. Pardon me. Rain across northern Ontario. We have the risk of thunderstorms today. Non-severe storms are possible. And this is a low-pressure system that is making its way into Atlantic Canada. Risk of storms today, Chris. We will see rainfall coming in, and these could be some powerful showers. Also across the prairies, we have colder temperatures that have set up now. We have the potential of some snow by later this weekend across the west. Big story in BC, of course, is the rainfall. Vancouver, Victoria, and also some strong winds in southwest BC today. Wind warnings from Environment Canada are here. And we will see these winds continuing to abate as high pressure builds in. We'll have more coming up in a moment.
We're outside of the Armory, home of the Argyle Sutherland Highlanders. I want to show you this makeshift memorial that has been steadily increasing in size since last Wednesday. I measured it out, almost 200 feet long, thousands of signatures on dozens of flags and hundreds of bouquets of flowers, all people showing their outpouring of love and support for Corporal Nathan Cirillo.